Who of you knows how a bicycle works? Chances are high that if I ask you to prove it by drawing one, including its functional elements, it will result in something like this, this, or this. We humans have a tendency to confuse our understanding of how to use something with understanding how and why it works this way. In our work with my collaborators, we found evidence that such a cognitive bias also occurs when non-technical users are exposed to explainable AI. We explore how non-technical end users build their understanding and if what they think they understand matches what is actually being explained. The term XAI is about an AI system's ability to explain or present in understandable terms to a human. But to what kind of human? In our work, we focused on the non-technical stakeholders of XAI, namely end users in decision support situations that use machine learning predictions for their decisions. But they typically have no expertise about machine learning. Various explanation approaches have been proposed in XAI. Global explanations, on one hand, aim to provide holistic insights about the model behavior to understand its typical behavior, while local explanations aim to examine an individual prediction of the machine learning model. In our work, we focus on local Shapley explanations. Shapley explanations are widely used in practice. They perfectly distribute the prediction outcome, for example, a probability, among the features that contributed to this prediction. However, the challenge with local explanations is that they leave it up to the user to construct a global understanding of the model behavior. Especially Shapley explanations simplify much of the probabilistic model complexity into easy-looking contributions. By this, they abstract, for example, from feature interactions and leave users with a false belief about their gained understanding. However, we still think that they are promising. Because of their mathematical properties, they allow to approximate the model from multiple perspectives. However, in their raw form, they hide the intrinsic complexity of a probabilistic machine learning model behind very simple values. If unguided, we believe users might form an incomplete belief about their own understanding. We believe this happens because of the illusion of explanatory depth. This illusion is a robust cognitive bias of overconfidence which has been reproduced in many contexts. We humans often form an inaccurate understanding of our interaction with complex systems and often overrate the depth of this understanding of how these work. The IOED is more pronounced for explanatory knowledge, which involves complex causal patterns between components, such as machine learning systems. It is less pronounced for factual or procedural understanding. For example, we know when we don't know the capital of a country, for example, as a factual example. Further, some researchers in XAI already speculated that the IOED may be at play when users are confronted with XAI explanations. As such, we investigated if non-technical users of XAI systems that are based on Shapley explanations are prone to an illusion of explanatory depth. We examined how robust a self-reported subjective understanding of users actually is. We hypothesized that when exposed to Shapley explanations, their perception of understanding should increase. Further, we believe that if an IOED applies, their perception of understanding should decrease when we examine their actual understanding. Further, we were interested in what users actually do in their reasoning when constructing their mental model of a global model behavior from local explanations. We developed a prototype that we used as an apparatus. SHAP table is an accessible spreadsheet-like explanation interface that embeds Shapley explanations. We centered our prototype in a loan application scenario and used the black box machine learning model to predict each loan request's probability of defaulting. The features that contributed to this probability were shaded based on their Shapley contribution. Further, our explanation interface followed the XAI guidelines for contrastive, selective, and interactive explanations. For our study, we used a mixed method approach to account for the dual modes of human reasoning. Our procedure was inspired by the original IOED studies. It consisted of a phase of exploration in which users built their understanding without and with SHAP table. In a second phase of reflection, users needed to write down what they actually understood following guiding questions. And in the final phase, we examined their objective understanding through 8 forward prediction tasks, in which they needed to apply their understanding and simulate the actual AI prediction behavior. In the end, we confronted them with their test results. We conducted the study in 2 different settings. In the moderated online setting, the presence of a moderator motivated participants to apply high-effort rational thinking throughout the procedure. While in an unmoderated crowdsourcing setting, participants were guided more by low-effort heuristic thinking. We used participants' self-rating of subjective understanding as a measure. We took them at 5 different points throughout the procedure and used a calibrated scale for understanding to assess them. Further, we used their test results as a measure for their objective understanding. The results show that participants in both settings significantly decreased their subjective understanding throughout the procedure, indicating an illusion of explanatory depth. Regarding our first hypothesis, the provided Shapley explanations in SHAP table were considered useful and significantly increased the subjective understanding of participants. Regarding our second hypothesis, we have seen a significant decrease after participants have been examined for this understanding. In the moderated rational thinking setting, the reflection tasks already had some calibrating effect as the ratings dropped significantly. For the unmoderated setting, participants did not change their self-perception until the very last step, where they have been confronted with their actual objective understanding. Regarding their objective understanding, we observed that participants in the moderated setting were less confident but gained a more accurate understanding of the machine learning model. The objective understanding was better than a random guess in both settings, indicating that participants gained a general sense of the machine learning model's behavior. Interestingly, participants in the unmoderated setting spent less time on building their understanding, less time on reflecting it, were more confident in their answers, expected more answers of themselves that to be correct, but objectively scored significantly worse than their moderated counterparts. We measured their performance in terms of correct answers as well as their distance from a correct answer. Our work highlights the need for explainable AI to account for the cognitive biases when exposing explanations to non-technical users. In our unmoderated setting, participants did not realize the incompleteness of their understanding until they saw their objective performance. We observed that they were less often aware of irregularities in contributions and feature interactions that were present in the machine learning model. Further, in our paper, we report insights from Think Aloud protocols and observations about the reasoning and interactions approaches that participants used when consuming explanations based on Shapley values. These may inform XAI designers on how to design more human-centric explanation facilities. Overall, the large majority of participants found that the procedure helped them to better assess their understanding of the prediction behavior. As such, we believe that XAI must not only provide understandable explanations, but must also calibrate and guide the process of understanding. With that, we invite you to explore our paper and are looking forward to the discussion. Thank you for your attention and the opportunity to share our work.